When the term trial of the century is brought up, thoughts of O.J. Simpson, his tortoise-pace car chase, and the infamous leather gloves may come to mind. O.J. Simpson became a prolific figure after being accused of murdering Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman in July of 1994. Though prior to this, he was well known for his career playing professional football in the NFL. O.J. was eventually found innocent of the crime, and the verdict remains a controversy to this day due to a few specific factors involving race, celebritization, and CTE. How did the racial tensions at the time influence the controversy? What about the celebritization of court cases since? Did CTE play a role in dividing people?
Regardless of who you ask, the factor of race played a pivotal role in the trial verdict. White Americans believed that Simpson and his team used the race card as a tool to get away with murder. Meanwhile, Black Americans believed that Simpson's acquittal was the justice system rebuking internalized systemic racism, as well as making up for the mishandling of past events. The most notable of these past events, the 1992 acquittal of 4 LAPD officers for the beating of Rodney King, a black man. The incident, caught entirely on camera, acted as a stark reminder of the police brutality deeply rooted in Los Angeles and the United States as a whole. The next few years were marked by high racial tensions within Los Angeles. There is a clear divide between the wealthy suburbs and the impoverished urban areas, and this divide was only further strengthened by racial lines. Columnist Dave Ziernam spoke in an interview with PBS about how LAPD Police Chief Daryl Gates had fostered a hate-filled environment within his department. Zirin stated, "There is a very militarized approach to policing in what were called anti-gang initiatives in the black community, and that led to a great deal of violence and a great deal of mistrust, which is why, after the Rodney King beating, nobody in LA really saw it as just a Rodney King story, but as emblematic of how black people and brown people were treated by Daryl Gates' police department." The LAPD came under more controversy during the trial itself, when tapes were released of Officer Mark Furnham. Over 13 hours in length, the tapes included racist and misogynistic language, as well as hinting of the LAPD planting evidence in cases to incriminate black Americans. The influence of race can be seen in several other areas of the verdict. The jury that acquitted Simpson was mostly black, with 8 black jurors, 1 white juror, 2 Hispanic, and 1 juror who was half Native American and half Caucasian. Notable sociologist Darnell Hunt did extensive writing on the trial while it occurred within a focus on the difference in which white and black Americans viewed it. He found that African Americans were 4 times as likely to presume Simpson was innocent or being set up by the police in contrast to white Americans. The difference could also be seen in the ways black media outlets covered the trial compared to mainstream publications, Hunt said. Those outlets tended to raise questions about whether the justice system was really fair in terms of what might be called the black experience, he said. When examining the situation from the lens of race, the controversy lies within how much the verdict was predicated on the facts of the trial itself or outside influences. Was the acquittal of O.J. a confirmation of his innocence, or was it a condemnation of the LAPD and its racist past? What cannot be denied is that the verdict and the outrage surrounding it depicted how divided white and black Americans were on such a direct issue, even late into the 20th century.
There has been much public debate over the role of CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, in the murders. Those that believe O.J. killed Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman believe they did so due to this condition. Though O.J.'s family argues that he did not have CTE, when looking at experts in the field, similar cases, and even O.J. himself, you may be convinced otherwise. Dr. Bennett Omalu is an accomplished doctor who is known for discovering CTE and leading to the critically acclaimed movie Concussion, starring Will Smith. He told ABC News that he would bet his medical license that O.J. suffered from the disease. Though CTE can only be officially diagnosed post-mortem via an examination of the individual's brain, Dr. Omalu is confident that he can identify the symptoms, which include impulsive behavior and mood disorders. If it was found that O.J. did have the disease, he would not necessarily be an outlier. A study by the University of Texas Health Science Center at San Antonio found that nearly 6% of athletes and non-athletes alike suffer from the disease. There is something to be said, though, about the increased chance for CTE in athletes. Dr. Omalu is confident that Simpson's 11 years playing professional football, along with his years playing collegiately, are the biggest pieces of evidence towards him having CTE. It's no wonder he believed this when CTE is so prevalent in former NFL players. A study by the Boston University CTE Center found that 345 of the 376 former NFL players that they tested were found to have the disease. This means that there is a 91.7% chance that any NFL player picked at random possesses it. In support of the idea that Simpson committed the murder and did so as a result of CTE are the many cases of CTE-related criminality in recent years. Aaron Hernandez is a notable case. In April of 2015, Hernandez was sentenced to life in prison without parole for the murder of Odin Lloyd. In April of 2017, he hanged himself in his jail cell. These horrific acts are believed by many to be the result of CTE. According to Ann McKee, the director of Boston University's CTE Center, Aaron Hernandez's brain had stage 3 CTE to such an extent they've never seen before in the 468 brains they've studied, except in individuals who are much older. All of this to say, O.J. Simpson is not the only ex-NFL player who has been suspected of murder as a result of CTE. Likely the most compelling piece of evidence, however, regarding whether Simpson has CTE or not, comes from O.J. Simpson himself. When referring to concussions, he is quoted as saying, "I feel all right, but I have days when I lose words, and I can't come up with a simple word. I can't remember a phone number, so forget that." Simpson also used concussions as part of his legal strategy when he was convicted of armed robbery in 2007. Despite the evidence that might lead you to believe he suffered from CTE, the world will never know whether this is the case or not. In April of 2024, OJ's body was cremated without scientists having the chance to examine his brain for the disease. This choice came directly from the Simpson family, who insists to this day that he did not suffer from CTE. It seems as though the burning questions in many minds may go unanswered. Is the Simpson family right in saying that OJ did not suffer from CTE, or is the evidence just too compelling to suggest otherwise?
Exceeding the already significant importance the O.J. Simpson trial held in unintentionally providing another platform for racial discourse, the public broadcasting of Simpson's trial represented a greater shift towards openness and access being afforded towards the American public. While beneficial through its informing of said populace, significant controversy still exists as to whether the push for greater media access that began with Simpson's trial truly poses a net negative or positive to society. Simpson's case effectively marked the beginning of individuals within large-scale legal proceedings being transformed into public figures, in this case, Simpson, his attorneys, and even the judge. Scholars suggest that this phenomenon shifted public focus from legal merits to personalities, creating an expectation within American society. High-profile cases, like O.J. Simpson's, would involve theatrics and celebrity-like personas. It can also be said that the O.J. Simpson trial and the way the public was able to consume it as a form of entertainment influenced the wave of true crime programming, including documentaries, dramatizations, and podcasts. The genre often dramatizes or even glorifies criminal cases, shaping public perceptions and expectations of the legal process. For example, the Dahmer Netflix series Tiger King, the Hernandez brothers. There's a growing trend of media that fundamentally glorifies criminal activity. The question could also be raised whether the public should fundamentally have access to this media and have access to legal proceedings on the scale that they do, especially when consuming that media and being able to monitor legal proceedings actively acts to diminish faith in the core institution that defines American society, in this case being the legal system. How can we as consumers trust media outlets to maintain integrity as opposed to engaging in significant embellishment, especially when we as a populace have demonstrated that we are all too eager to consume real criminal cases as a form of entertainment?
When it comes to controversial court cases, the O.J. Simpson case is second to none, and the topics of race, celebritization, and CTE are integral in understanding what makes the verdict so polarizing. Though we may never know what truly happened, you can't help but be in awe of the effects that the trial of the century had on our society.